Didn't we?
Our story today is going to be about Noah. Now, Noah is a very big story, but we're telling it to little children who cannot read. So for those of you who do read and want to know the whole entire story of Noah, you can find that in Genesis chapter 6, 7, 8, and 9. So when Adam and Eve disobeyed God, they brought that sin into the world. And when Cain and Abel came and Cain killed Abel, he brought anger and murder into the world. And then the people that came after them, they just got worse and worse and worse. They were mean to each other. They killed each other. They were doing all kinds of bad things to each other. And there were even giants, and they were mean as well. And God looked at this world and all the bad people, and he got mad that he even made the world, and he wanted to kill them all. But there was a man named Noah. Noah had 3 sons, and they had 3 wives. Their names were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Noah was a man who loved God and who followed God's laws and what God wanted them to do, and he worshiped God and all of his family. So God saw Noah, and he said to him, I'm going to get rid of all the people on the earth because they are so bad. And so he gave Noah instructions, or he told Noah how to make a big boat, which we call an ark. He said, I want you to use this special wood, and I want you to make it with this kind of size. And so Noah and his sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, worked very, very hard to make this ark that God had told them to. They were very, very careful to only do it the way God told them to. Well, some of the people were looking at Noah, and they were saying, what are you doing, Noah? We have no water around here. What's that big old thing for anyway? And Noah tried to tell them about God and tried to tell them to stop being mean and stop doing bad things and start believing in God and worshiping him. But they just kept laughing at Noah, and they kept saying, silly. They would not listen to Noah at all. But see how they're building that big old boat, just like God told them to. Finally, the ark was finished. And so God told them, you take all the food you need to feed you and all the animals, because I'm going to save some animals in the boat with you. So Noah and his sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, they got everything ready for the boat. And then the animals started coming. God wanted them to have a mommy and a daddy of each animal so that when they came out of the boat again, they could have more babies. So some of them were just mommies and daddies, but some of them, he wanted them to have 7 mommies and daddies because he had a special plan for them. And all the birds had 7 mommies and daddies, and they all went into the big ark. And then Noah and Ham and Mrs. Ham and Japheth and Mrs. Japheth and Shem and Mrs. Shem and Mrs. Noah, they all went into the ark where all the animals were. And then God closed the door. Sometimes we think that Noah closed the door, but the Bible said God shut them in. Well, the people still weren't understanding what was going on with Noah. They still didn't think anything bad was going to happen. They didn't believe him. But all of a sudden, after the doors were closed, the water started bursting out of the earth and coming up and coming up and coming up. And the people did not know what was happening, and they were running away, and the water kept coming up and coming up. And then it started to rain and rain and rain, and the water's coming up, and the water came up, up, up. And the people had nowhere to go because all the rain and all the water was covering everywhere. And they were just trying to find a way to somewhere to go, but there was no place. Everything was covered up with water. And everybody who was not in the ark, they died in the water because they did not obey God and they did not listen to Noah. But Noah and his family were safe in the ark with all the animals, and they were taking care of the animals, and they were waiting to see what God wanted them to do. Finally, after a long, long time, the water stopped flowing and the rain stopped coming, but all the water was covering the land. And Noah and his family stayed in the ark, just waiting to see what God would have for them. And then God sent a wave to blow. And the wave started a wind to blow. And the wind started blowing and blowing and blowing. And it blew the water so that the water was going down. So after a while, Noah sent out a raven. But the raven flew back and kept coming back and going out and coming back because there was no place for the raven to land. And then God sent out a dove to see what she would do. But the dove came back because there was no place for her to land. So after a week, he sent her out again. And this time, the dove came back, and she had a little piece of an olive tree in her mouth. So then Noah knew that the water was going down. And then he sent her out again, and this time she did not come back. So then Noah knew the waters were going down. So the ark landed on the mountain called Ararat, and the waters had gone away. So God opened the door, and Noah and Ham, Shem, Japheth, and Mrs. Ham, Shem, Japheth, and Mrs. Noah all came out of the ark, and all of the animals came out too. And when Noah and his family got out of the ark, Noah made an offering to God to thank him for taking care of him and all of his family. And God could smell the smoke of that offering that Noah did to him. And he thought that that smoke smelled very good because he knew that it was Noah saying thank you to him. So God put a rainbow in the sky. And he said to Noah, "This is my sign to you, that never again will I send the water to cover all of the earth like I just did. When you see the rainbow, it will remind you that I have made this promise, and it will remind me that I made this promise." And so Noah and his family pleased God, and God took care of them.